A big hello from London. In last week's commentary here, I said at the time how the technical patterns seemed to be heading for the quiet Christmas period after some pretty hectic activity in earlier weeks. I only spoke about 4 weekly technical patterns last week in the markets I cover. Well, I spoke too soon, as last week there were a total of 20, yes, 20 weekly patterns in the markets I cover. So let's go through them. In the currencies, Euro Sterling had a significant weekly key reversal up last week that has seen an appropriate follow-on higher this week, straight from the start, and one that has taken on the short, medium and long moving averages. And this is only the half of this week gone by. Meanwhile, in the US dollar Norwegian kroner, we had a weekly key reversal down last week, the second within 3 weeks, and it seems a more successful one, with prices dipping down to lows not seen since mid-August. The Kiwi dollar against the US dollar likewise had a weekly key reversal up last week, and a similar move up from just about the start this week, with the second weekly key reversal up within 5 weeks. And we are up at levels not seen since July. We also had a weekly key reversal up in Euro-Hungarian forint last week, and here also a move higher this week, though at a more seemingly leisurely pace. However, and there is always a however, the significant weekly key reversal down last week in the US dollar Chinese yuan, the onshore yuan, did not have a follow-on lower, which in its own way is surprising, as the gap seen midweek last week here might have suggested a further try lower. Yet the market has pulled up a bit instead, but then seemingly gotten itself stuck just underneath the previously broken rising long moving average, currently at 714.83. This lack of follow-through and sometimes active opposition also applied to weekly key reversals down last week in US dollar against the South African rand, sterling against the South African rand, US dollar against the Singapore dollar, and weekly key reversals up last week in US dollar Brazilian real and euro against the Polish zloty, and a weekly key reversal up, if only just, in the US dollar Nigerian naira 1-month NDF. Elsewhere, in fixed income futures, we saw a weekly key reversal up last week in US T-note futures. The third within 5 weeks. This week has seen a slow move higher, like a tortoise head emerging from its shell, but we have nevertheless still reached back up to levels not seen since mid-July. That was it for fixed income, but commodities, well, we had an interesting selection of commodities. We had weekly key reversals up last week in LME 3-month aluminium, with a gapping move higher last week, which had a limited follow-on higher so far this week. And LME 3-month zinc, which had a clearer, more interesting follow-on higher this week. I covered LME zinc in my weekly base metal video commentary last week, especially how prices are gradually moving higher within a shallow bullish shift pitchfork, and that you can see highlighted in bright red on my daily chart. Meanwhile, in the grains, we had a weekly key reversal down in Paris milling wheat futures last week, which has kept interested parties guessing this week as prices hesitate, sitting on top of the congestion at 224. Yet a market which has had declining highs, usually seen as a bearish sign, declining highs since Tuesday last week. I reckon we may be coming to a cusp, and very soon. Now an unusual one. A weekly key reversal up in EEX butter futures last week, if only just. What made that one interesting is how it was the second weekly key reversal up within 3 weeks, and comes on the back of a monthly key reversal up seen back in September that's been leading the market higher. We've had no moves since then in either direction, which is ominous in all sorts of ways, I suppose. Over to the US now, and we had a weekly key reversal up in Chicago corn futures, plus Chicago live hog futures, and a weekly key reversal down in London cocoa futures. Now, what links these three is the weekly key reversals in each were made only on the continuous charts. thus treat them with appropriate caution. This week we've seen a reactionary move back down in Chicago corn, a more cautionary but still a reactionary move back down in Chicago lean hogs, and a sideways move in London cocoa futures. That finishes up my participation in these weekly commentaries for 2023, as I will be away next week and also the week after. But please keep your eyes open for my emails covering not just weekly key reversals, but monthly key reversals for December and annual key reversals for the whole of 2023. In the meantime, may I wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a brilliant New Year. As always, I'm happy to answer any direct questions of anyone who is interested. And with that, I'll finish this section from London, and I hope that you found these comments useful.
Thank you for listening. This weekly broadcast gives the essential market patterns and consequences. Please be aware of the risk disclaimer posted both at the front and the back of this broadcast. Copyright is Eddie Toftbig and ADM Investor Services International Limited. And here comes the final important bit.